Okay, you guys, episode 2 is done. I was able to watch that today, and I apologize in advance if my audio is wonky. I have been having all sorts of trouble with my mic. I don't know what the heck. It's annoying. Anyway, so episode 2 of The Witcher. It was really good. I liked it. I'm really digging this show so far. We were finally introduced to Yennefer, and we see her as a disfigured girl in this village. She's bullied, she's mistreated, she's really just a pitiful character, and she seems to have some sort of abilities. Like at one point she's being bullied and beaten up and stuff, and it's like her emotion triggered her ability to portal somewhere. So you know already there's something special about her. And so then when she gets sent back through a different type of portal back to her place, this lady comes looking for her and buys her from her family. And so she goes through this sort of training. I'm not even exactly sure who this woman is. I can't even remember her name, honestly. I'm so bad with some of these character names. It's terrible. But she's training these girls. I don't know if she's like a sorceress or something like that. But so Yennefer, she has some abilities, but when she's trying to train for it, she seems to fail at all these, teaching moments. Like she can't harness the lightning like she should, but yet something strange happened. Like it stayed in her and she was able to shoot lightning out. So, I mean, she's obviously, the girl who bought her, can obviously see something special about this girl. So that's why she doesn't kick her out of the training or whatever, I guess. I mean, like I've said many times before, I'm very ignorant about the characters in this show. So my main introduction to them, beyond what you guys have told me about them, is what I'm seeing for the first time ever on this show. So the girl who plays Yennefer, she did such a good job of capturing this. Like, she was so good in here, you guys, especially when she's acting, when she's beaten down and she's abused, she's bullied, she's mistreated, and, she's scared at times, and yet at the same time, you see these little flickers of spark in her, and so you know that despite what she's gone through, she's not a broken person. So she's very strong. She has an inner strength, despite everything she's been through. And so I really liked the way the actress plays her. I like the portrayal of her so far. Now, when I had seen character introductions for her before a few days ago, I had thought she was gonna be like a bad guy. And of course, people have informed me that there's really it's not so much black and white in this world. There are not really like good guys and bad guys. There's a lot of shades of gray. I'm not seeing too many shades of gray in The Witcher yet, but I can see it a bit in Yennefer, and specifically because you do see how she is able to manipulate somebody to give her something that she wants. And so that revelation sort of comes as a bit of a surprise, even though I knew that this is the way her character was, but the way she was portrayed up until that point was so contrary to this thing that she does. And it's like, oh wow, okay, she's got a devious side to her. She's very good at fooling people. So you can see this aspect of her ability to manipulate people. And they did mention that in the character introduction. They mentioned her using her sexuality to get from people, to get something that she wants from somebody. Now, so far in this episode, she hasn't been transformed into the, much more lovely appearance that we see here, but she is still able to use her charms on a member of the opposite sex to get them to give her something that she's after. So I found that pretty interesting, and I also found that it was fairly well done. It wasn't like, it was sort of a shock, but at the same time I kind of knew this already about her, but it's not, because she's just brand new and has just been introduced, it's not so much of a shock as it would have been if we'd been with her character for many, many, many episodes, and then all of a sudden she does this thing and you're like, where the heck did that come from? That was out of left field, So we're still just getting to know her, and we're finding out more and more about her. So anyway, I thought her portrayal so far is very well done, and I'm impressed with it, and I'm really impressed with this actress's ability to capture all these different emotions that Yennefer appears to be going through, and her struggles, and she wants something more. She wants to be able to, I guess, prove to people, or maybe even just to herself, that she has some value. She can do something. She's not just this deformed girl. And so I feel like a lot of that is the motivation for why she's doing what she's doing. She's trying to heal something. She's trying to nurture something within herself. So I like the way that they've handled that. And the only little issue I have with the way this episode went, and there were some little tiny niggles of that in the first episode, and it has nothing to do with the way the characters are presented or anything like that. It's just an editing thing, like I'll give a specific example. When she is able to go back home through the other portal that this guy that she meets creates for her, you don't see any sort of transition from the time that she gets back home to when this next scene happens where the lady comes to buy her. So she walks through the portal, and then the next thing is she's hauling like slop out to the pigs or something. So it almost looked like she walked out of the portal and straight into where the pigs were. It just, the way the editing was done, I kind of feel like it would have been better if they had shown her arriving back home, whatever, expression of shock or wonder or whatever on her face, and then transitioning to she's going about her regular daily life, taking slop out to the pigs, something like that. Anyway, so Princess Cirilla, we follow her story where she's still on the run. She meets a group of people, and she meets a mysterious kid in the forest. She calls him Rat Boy because he helps her, he catches a rat for her, and they're able to cook it and eat it because she's been about 3 days on the run. So she's hungry, she's probably thirsty, but they don't show her drinking water or something like that. Anyway, whatever. So she meets this mysterious kid, and then she finds some people in the forest. I think they're people from her town, her region, and they're on the run. Also, like it's almost like a refugee camp is what it is. And so she hooks up with some people there for a little bit, and I don't know. Well, the people that she met, I mean, obviously we're not going to see them anymore because they get killed. And the woman that took her in, she was kind of interesting. She was not the most likable person because she mistreated like this, I think it was a dwarf that worked for them, and she was very cruel to him. I mean, she looked down on him like he was a piece of trash, and yet at the same time, we saw a side to her that shows us her pain and her humanity because she's lost people in her family due to this attack that the area came under in the first episode. And you can sympathize with her, and you understand her feeling of, or anybody who's lost someone understands that feeling of loss that she feels. And it was pretty, I feel like it was, the way she was written was pretty well done. I definitely see some clear shades of gray there with her because of the two different ways she was acting. Trying to think of, yeah, well, so with The Witcher, his little story, he's off, I can't even remember the area where he is, and he meets a bard. And so now he's got himself a sidekick. I don't know how long this guy is going to hang around, but you can tell The Witcher just kind of tolerates him. He doesn't really want him around, but he doesn't really do as forceful enough of a job to push him away as he probably should if he really didn't want him around. So I kind of feel like he likes having the dude around. And so they go off and they get into some trouble. They run into some elves, and there's all this political sort of stuff going on with the elves because they had been slaughtered by humans, and like they had given the humans their magic or something, or taught the humans their magic, and then the humans turned on them and killed them. And so the elves are the surviving elves are very resentful, and they hate humans, and they want to basically take back their land. So we've got different sort of geopolitical type stuff going on, if that's the right word. I think it is. Anyway, it's late, y'all. Setting up these different conflicts between these different groups of people. And The Witcher made it very clear in his altercation with the elves that he was not a human. And so there's some interactions that go on with him and the elves, and it was kind of interesting to see this conversation take place. I kind of almost wish that the moments that he had with the elves had gone on a little bit longer, because I felt like it was fairly short. Like, I mean, maybe they'll show back. Maybe they'll show up again. I don't know, but it just, you know, for the depth of the situation that they're trying to cover with regard to what happened to the elves, it just felt like a little bit more of them with him would have been nicer to see. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly. Anyway, so then he's you know, he leaves the elves, he goes off, and he's with the bard. And it looked to me like at that particular last scene, he's accepting that the bard's just going to hang around. He's not going to get rid of him, and the bard's singing a song about his escapades, and he's wanting to change his image. So the bard is kind of like, you know, a PR guy for him, which apparently I guess he needs because people don't like him. So anyway, yeah, those were the three main stories that were going on, the different characters that were followed. None of them have come into contact yet, and of course we wouldn't expect that to happen. It would be too soon. They each have their different story arcs that have to happen in a certain way before they can meet each other. Now, there are only 8 episodes in this series, or in this first season. Oh, I did hear, by the way, that it's been renewed for a second season. Before it even came out, it was renewed. So I guess they're getting pretty good buzz. From what I understand so far, the audience is really digging this. I heard that the critics didn't like it too much, but I did not read the official critic scores or anything yet, so I didn't even know what reception The Witcher had gotten from, you know, like a multitude of critics. But anyway, I'm hearing pretty much nothing but positive things about it from people who have seen more episodes than I have, or have seen it all the way through. So that makes me hopeful that this good trend is going to continue. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the episodes. I have mentioned before, but I really do think I can probably only manage about one a day, because I've got to work my work in around this. But So yeah, it really does, like each episode, I could, if I didn't have anything else to do, I could sit here and I could just watch episode after episode, but it doesn't, that's not the way it is for me right now, so can't do that, and I will probably try to watch the next episode tomorrow. I'm trying to think if I've covered every single thing that occurred to me. Another little small tiny nitpicky thing with regard to this episode, and again, it had nothing to do with the story itself. It had nothing really to do with the characters or the acting, and it was the little rat boy that Cirilla met in the forest. For someone who was hanging out in the forest and sort of like appeared to be having to fend for himself, and who knows how long he had been out there, his clothes were in pretty good shape. They weren't tattered or torn or anything. So I was thinking to myself that the people who do the costumes, they should probably pay a little bit more attention to detail like that, because that's one of the first things that I noticed, was that his clothes looked like they were in pretty good shape. Unless he came from somewhere where he was, no, I don't think so. And I honestly don't know what he was doing hanging out in the woods. No clue. They hooked back up again after the camp where she was staying got attacked, and she ran off, or he came and he rescued her, and that's when she found out that he is an elf, and then they just go off together. So he will be in more episodes for sure, and looking forward to finding out more about him. He doesn't talk very much in the very first couple scenes that he showed up in. He didn't say anything at all, so I wondered if he was just mute, if he just couldn't talk. But he does talk. He finally did talk at the end. So, okay, well, that is this episode done. There are only 6 more left. It's another reason that I like to pace my my viewing of shows, especially shows that I really like. I don't want it to be over too quick. So, anyway. Okay, you guys, that is it for now. If you've seen this episode yet, let me know what you think about it, and if there's anything that I'm missing or just getting wrong in my analysis of all this. There was something that I mentioned in the first episode, my first episode review, where I thought that he had thrown his sword into someone, and then here it was again in his hand, and I thought he had resummoned it, but that was not the case. Someone told me no, it was someone else's sword that he took, so I went back and re-watched the scene like for the 3rd time, and this time I could see that yes, he did have his sword in his own hand, and he just used. But that scene, you guys, was choreographed so well, and it went by. I mean, it was like a minute and a half long, if that, maybe. And it was just, the choreography of that scene was just great. I was super impressed with it. And so yeah, I liked how that went down, and I'm looking forward to seeing more sword fights and fighting scenes and stuff. And if they're all choreographed as good as this one was, then they're going to be really fun to watch. Okay, you guys, I'm definitely going to shut up now, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.